Ooh la
Well,
la.
here we are with Team Denmark, winners of the Team Spirit Award in the Nations Cup in Antwerpen just 2 weeks ago, isn't it?
Woo!
Feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Completely lost track of time. I'm a little bit bombed by it afterwards, mentally, because it was just wow. But well, let's not dilly-dally. We will start
So
with the first.
let's start with who we are.
Yes, with the first question. Yes. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves and also tell why you ended up participating in the Nations Cup.
Yeah. Should I start?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So I'm Andy. Still it. Also known as the vice captain for Team Denmark at this year's Nations Cup in Belgium. I felt it was the year where I wanted to try something international, and what could be more cool than to go to the Nations Cup with Team Denmark. It just don't get any bigger for me. So I like to play competitive, and I really do enjoy to win. But this year I found out that playing duo games is really something different and very funny, and it can be very serious as well. So a team-based competitive scene is what I really wanted. So yeah, that's me, and that's why I took to the Nations Cup.
David.
Yeah, well, I'm David. I participated because I thought it'd be fun to see what the international scene was like. I sort of became the interim ambassador since Marcus, he unfortunately couldn't participate. So I had the dialogue with the other ambassadors. So that was interesting. Other than that, just tagged along to have some fun.
And the Stig, Mr. Denmark himself.
Hi, I'm Tim Elwes, not a native Dane, but I am officially down as a Danish Stig. I'm a UK player. I play a lot of toy soldiers. I'm more of a theme and fluff player, I suppose. I went to the Nations Cup because I had the weekend free, really, and I enjoy traveling outside the UK to play toy soldiers. And this seemed like quite a cool thing to do before I got busy for the summertime.
At the weekend free, best argument ever. Well, that's up to me then. I'm Eric. Well, like Andy, I always wanted to try an international event, and the offer came up, and it all worked out. So I just thought, why not have a go at it and try to make it fun and exciting? And I think I succeeded.
You did, Erik.
Thank you. Well, that was the first question, and the second is our initial short reaction following the event. How did we feel afterwards when we returned?
Like when we came home?
Yeah, or when it was all done, or whatever. The initial reaction.
I felt I was tired, I was exhausted, but man, I was like, this was very cool. I've been playing against some of the best players in the world with some cool teammates. What a blast. I just enjoyed every moment. But it took some days to become normal again. I had headaches for 3 days after.
Wow.
Also because I was traveling with David with the flight.
What's that supposed to mean?
Not because of David, because I was flying. So
yeah, this was your first flight, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stress. You should have joined Jyderne in our car. That was a pleasant 10-hour drive.
Oh.
Plus some break hours and such.
Yeah.
We both got stopped in security because they couldn't understand what these big crystals we had in our suitcase on the way home were. So they had to see what that was. Of course, when you win all the prizes, then they want to see what it is.
Also, it was very funny at the Danish airport. They were scanning our luggage, and then one guy was like, "Oh, that's toy soldiers. Good luck."
Nice. And David, your reaction?
Yeah, as I said, I was tired. It was very intimidating. We didn't have the best of success down there play wise, but playing against a lot of interesting people, meeting people from other countries is always very exciting. And of course, it was just a good time. That was my initial impression after I was done. Of course, it was sad having to give up my prizes because I couldn't carry a big box of paint home. But that's why you have friends in a car, I guess.
Yes. We can all already reveal that David won Best Painted Miniature and won Army Painter Mega Paint set. And he couldn't bring it home, so he had to send it with a car, fortunately.
I still haven't got it, mind you. So, Stefan,
No.
if you're watching this, get it sent.
And Tim?
So I finally got back to my house at about 10:30 at night on the Monday evening after some horrific travel difficulties getting home. But yeah, I suppose kind of because I had such a long drive home, I kind of got all the conversation about it out. So by the time I got back to England, it was kind of like, oh, that's all over now. But actually, I thought the whole event was really good. It's sort of that you get a really different atmosphere when you've got that many people there. Especially because I suppose I kind of knew a good percentage of the people that were there because I've played them or I've met them at events in the past. So like the camaraderie and just the general atmosphere I thought was really good. And it's I can't remember how many countries there were, but there were lots. So
15, I think.
you're meeting people from all over the world and doing the same stuff, which given there were so many different nations, it was a little bit upsetting. There were so many dragon emperors, but what can you do?
Definitely some meta chasers in the crowd. Well, I actually had a bit of the same experience as you, Tim, because we had the long drive home from Antwerpen, and we just had a lot of time to talk it through, and we just agreed, me, Jacob, and Stefan, who are the rest of the party, that it was a great experience. And I think personally, if I just had gotten a week to recuperate, I was ready for another go, because it really was an awesome experience, even though I lost 4 out of 6 matches. I enjoyed every one of them. So,
And it's quite
all in all, a pleasant experience.
It's quite strange as well, I suppose, when you actually arrive back to the border of your own country when you've been away. It's kind of quite an exciting thing, really. We took the ferry back to England, and when you sort of get halfway across and you can sort of see the white cliffs of Dover coming up, it's kind of like, wow, I've just been, I've taken some plastic toy soldiers in a box to over 3 or 4 different borders to get to a big event. It sort of hits you, I think, more when you actually get back to kind of open your suitcase to show your wife or your family, like, I've actually achieved something quite cool. I haven't just rolled some dice.
You drove home with Alex from Battle Camper, didn't you? Did he have any good reactions? I mean, he saw it a bit differently than he was in the commentary.
I think if we'd have had a webcam going, it would have made like the some really, really exciting banter. But no, he'd obviously seen it from like a different point of view, and we were just sort of catching up on games and life and stuff. Because we see each other. I saw him last weekend at a GBHL event in Lincoln, and it's just you never kind of get that time to sit and chill and chat and discuss things that are not just toy soldiers, I suppose. But it was a fairly tricky trip back home, but I think that's why the team format works really well, because you kind of get that time playing your games, but you get that time with your teammates as well, just sort of like getting to know each other and going out for a meal or getting some beers and just chatting about things that aren't about your actual lives, because otherwise it's just a lot of what army have you got, blah 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 blah. But actually, we're all
Mhm.
quite interesting individuals to have a chat with and chill out over a pizza and a pint, or half liter. I suppose.
Well, let's get down to some of the more exciting stuff. Which factions did you bring and why?
Should I go?
Yeah, let's keep the
Yeah,
same
okay.
order we have.
Mr.
Yeah,
Swarmer.
let's Mr. Swarmer. Yeah, I brought perhaps my favorite faction or army of all, Goblin Town. Goblin Town is a very funny army to pilot, and there is in fact a lot of fun to its playstyle. And when you look on many of the scenarios you can play from the match play guide, it can also be a very competitive army. So in that sense, it combines both the fun part and the serious part of competing, like at a tournament. So I just like to push a lot of balls around the board, and I like to create what I call the Orc Doom box, where you surround your opponent and just like take bites of the flanks until there's none left on the board. So yeah,
And push models you did.
I did push a lot of models, and I did appreciate my movement trace. So I could push 5 guys a turn, like it was fast. And I didn't really need to think about too much where I had to place them. It's just like push them up.
Simple but effective.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
David.
Yes. I'm pretty limited in what choices I had because I don't have more than one army. I brought a Last Alliance list with Elendil and Devastator and Kieran and a captain of Numenor. So that was in my eyes pretty balanced list. But I took it because I was expecting a lot of enemy magic, which I did also encounter. So in that regard, it was pretty good. But when Elendil he fails some rolls, then you're pretty screwed. So I also won 2 out of 6 games and had a lot of fun. Even though army might not have been the strongest, it was the variation I could have taken. But yeah, that was my list.
And Tim.
I took the Rangers of Mirkwood Legendary Legion because I really like it and they're really pretty. Mainly because we talked a lot about what like the picks and the matchups were going to be. But the reality was that I don't think any of us really changed from the army that we've been playing with or were familiar with to go to this event because there's nothing really worse than taking a list that looks good on paper but you've never really used. So I took a list that I'm experienced with. It's pretty, and to take advantage of the 25 to 30% terrain coverage that was going to be on the boards.
And he's certainly laughing because that was not exactly the case when we got down there. It was some nice terrain, but not 50%.
It was called, in 6 games, I think I only got to roll once for the 6+ ignore a wound if you're in some woodland. But,
Oh, that's tough.
What could you do? It was cool. It's the formats makes it difficult for good lists. So it was kind of we're playing for the team, we're trying to if you're going to lose, we're going to try and lose by a small margin. And I got quite a lot of Assault on Lothlorien matchups, which given that I had nowhere to hide was.
Oh.
Yeah. But it
Yeah.
was cool. I mean, we had 6 games each, and certainly I've put sort of one of the 6 games on my sort of top 10 all-time games. So, given the amount of games I play a year, that's pretty, I suppose quite a good thing to have. They were good. When you've got 2.5-hour games with the setup time, most of them sort of went to time. It was all coming down to the last dice roll. So yeah, really exciting, really spicy against some really interesting opponents.
I played the Corsairs of Umbar allied with the Serpent Horde, and I've been playing that for a lot of years, but hence I also know they're quite effective. Even though they are quite weak on the defense, they can dish out a lot of damage through their throwing knives, and allied with the Serpent Horde, they get what they lack, mainly cavalry and strength 4 African guards, and a lovely Zuluvan banner, and more might. So I was very satisfied with my list, and I brought it because I actually thought it would be able to compete, but also because I knew it and was confident in its abilities. And I can't complain. It went well in most of the games. I only lost one severely. The rest was quite close, so it held up, and I was satisfied with my choice. Even though no smoke bombs worked.
Oh, really?
But well, yeah. The one game where I thought this is gonna be the smoke bomb one. Gandalf had him killed on turn 2 through command because I put him out of line and didn't resist the magic.
Damn.
Bummer. But I won anyway.
Important, yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, that was against the fiefdom
Yeah,
minus
the
2.
fiefdoms, yes. One I won 12-3 impressively. Still
Awesome.
don't get why I did it, but it went well. Even though my leader died in the second turn. All right. So we'll move on to how it was playing as a team, because this was, in essence, and very much the concept, a team tournament. And to have a team, we need, of course, a captain and a vice captain to lead a team. So, Andy, you were the vice captain. How was the experience of leading us and drafting in this crazy setup, get up thing?
It was, in fact, crazy the first draft. Me and Stephen, we were just like, okay, we just do this. We just put some armies here and there, and we see what goes. And from then on, the first round was just it was weird. The drafting was not like coherent, but since then we got into a, what should we call it, a routine. And yeah, playing as the team vice captain felt awesome. I would describe myself as calm at the tournament, and I was good to you guys because I remember I was going at the boss, giving you high five and wish you luck in your battles. And that to me made me feel like we had some team spirit, or at least show our opponents we had some team spirit. So yeah, with Stefan doing the drafting part, I did like the analytic part of it, drafting our matches, not only from an army's perspective, but I also did try to analyze our opponents, which rules they might didn't know about and what they did know about. And we had some out of the box armies, for example, the Mercury Rangers and the Corsairs of Umbar as our surprise cards in the deck, I would say. And I believe the Mercury Rangers, as I've said many times, could be a big surprise to evil armies. I think Team was the only one bringing Mercury Rangers, right? I think.
Yeah.
So even though you had a rough time against all the Dragon Emperors out there, I believe you could really challenge the Assault of Lothlorien, and I think you did well. And I think you had one match where you were really close. And I think when me and Stefan drafted you against Depths of Moria on Reconnoiter, I think you had a really good chance to just stand back and shoot and do what else like from that distance.
I didn't, though. I went and chopped them up with the knives.
Okay. Anyways.
That's the Corsair tactic, my friend. Stab him.
So yeah, that was my experience.
Yeah. And personally, I can say I think I didn't really get the draft system at any point, but I enjoyed it. I think I got some nice matchups, even though I think maybe the Defenders of Helm's Deep was a mistake, but I ended up making it a minor loss. But it's a tough call, because some matches I thought I had this in the bag and I didn't, and the others I thought, oh damn, this is gonna be tough, and I won. So you try you had some eyes on our strengths and weaknesses and tried to exploit them, and I think you mostly did well. But it was mostly wonderful just to be a team player and letting you guys do it and just say, oh, I go to this table. This is gonna be nice.
Yeah.
And for the listener that might not know what the draft system is like, as I understood it, it's more or less you keep on having to alternate who throws down lists, and it always ends up that 2 lists from your side get sort of thrown under the bus, meaning the opposition decides what to put against them, and you have to also, and then the last is just random who gets to fight who. So
Yeah.
it's all about picking the table and sort of deciding who from your team would match up well against the ones that have been revealed from the other side.
Yeah.
And it was tricky, but I think you and Stefan did a pretty good job. And
Thank
we
you,
sort of
thank
knew
you.
from the beginning that there was some lists we're going to throw under the bus somewhat. So I think that was fine. It was fine. It was fun either way. So
When we understood the system and we had a routine, me and Stefan, we felt like we had control of the drafting 2/3 of the time. We knew that the last drafting where we just rolled the die, that will be totally random. And some armies or some drafting would just be like we couldn't control it. So it is what it is. We were looking at the boards as well and thinking, oh, maybe Tim can shoot well on this, and as well the Corsairs because of their ranged advantage. And we were also looking at some of the boards. Oh, this one is good for Goblin Town, or this could be good for the Last Alliance because you can go into some choke points, not get surrounded, use your high 5 value and defense, stuff like that. Same for Jacob's list. We were looking for on the boards where he could stand comfortable with his shield walls, not getting surrounded, stuff like that. Tough call, but it was funny, very funny.
But it was the experience of playing as a team was just immensely wonderful. I have to say, both the preparation phase, and maybe we could have used that better to try to evaluate on each other's lists, and but the banter and how we supported each other and just got each other worked up for this new thing for most of us was just wonderful. And also, when we lost, we could catch each other and bring each other up to speed. I would love playing as a team with you guys again, that's for sure. Including Mr. Denmark.
I'm kind of hoping that that sort of the Nations Cup thing and the interest it's generated means that you're going to have so many people coming and knocking on the door next year that I'm going to be relegated to Denmark Team 2. But you know, it's been really interesting having a team format because obviously we did win a prize for being a really brilliant team, and that a lot of that doesn't just come down to how you play on the table, it's how you sort of behave as a team and interact with other teams. So things like getting down to the team captain things on time, handing your results in promptly, playing within the spirit, taking those things that aren't the that aren't just carbon copies of everyone else's and having that sort of team identity. And I think the tournament organizers and other teams really sort of respected that. So randomly, I ended up playing, I think, 4 ringers, or not ringers, mercenaries playing for other teams. So that was quite an interesting thing. I think I spoke more French than anything else over the weekend. But yeah, I think that the build up to the whole idea and how we sort of we got our Team Denmark dice to give out to our opponents, things like that, really sort of it made it feel like a proper team unit working together and trying to bring something to it that wasn't just 6 carbon copy super duper mega lists that all played each other all weekend. So we brought the fun, I think, which was important.
He was there for the right reasons.
Yeah, it seems so. And I gave out beers. That worked too.
We brought dice and beer and spunk.
Yeah.
And they loved it. They loved it. They took all of it.
Oh yeah.
So,
Such
And the
good
ex very
cheer.
cheerful laugh. I could always hear you, Erik. In
Yeah.
all the matches, I could hear you across the boards on the table, from the far end to the other end.
One time, it actually against our first, our last match against Canada, it actually brought the captains over because it was an hilarious situation where it was a roll off and the dice was just getting close to roll a 3, and then it fell off the mat on the table, and then it became a 6, and that was just so dramatic and frustrating and funny at the same time. But I think my opponent was a little bit surprised by my reaction, but it really was a good cheer. But yeah. Oh, the wonderful matches. But
Really good matches.
but I think we have less than 10 minutes left already. I'm told by Zoom. So let's get to the very important question. Which is, we didn't win many rounds, of course, as have already been mentioned. But we did win a Team Spirit Award. We already have discussed a little bit about it, but how do you guys think our approach ended up paving the way for that award?
I think one thing we should not underestimate is how the Team Spirit Award was given out by the team organizer, by the event organizers. And one aspect that we haven't touched upon was our team captain, Stefan. He was always the first captain to get to the meetings. He was the only one on time, and I think we were always very timely with handing in our submissions and stuff. That also helps. Andy and I were there to help set up stuff, and we handed out dice and spunk, and I mean, also handing out wins to the opponents. Not that they get to judge in this matter, though. But never mind. I think we had a lot of small elements that maybe contributed to the whole, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
And we had Tim's whimsy, of course, which also helped a lot.
Agree.
And we also lost our battles with Grace, and there wasn't many sour faces. I think all of us had some annoying moments during our games, but we didn't let it show for most of the time, and had a good cheer. I still think that the first battle I fought against the Belgian guy was still the best, even though I lost, because it was so funny and pleasant through the whole game, as you could hear from our laugh. So I think maybe they noticed a bit of that. Our great what's it called?
Also, our excellent skills at things like the arm wrestling and the Jenga.
Oh yeah, yes,
Oh yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I'd say Andy might not look it, but he is very good at arm wrestling. He swept the field apart from all of them.
Oh yeah, and we participated in the social events where we could, and enjoyed conversations.
That was also a very
Banter.
nice aspect of the tournament.
Yeah.
All the social events. Not that, I mean, the games did drag out a bit, so the amount of time we had for social events was maybe got a bit short, but what we did have was interesting and fun, and gave us the opportunity to speak to the other teams in a more relaxed environment, maybe, than just playing games. But
agree.
Yeah.
Even though beer pong was a bit hardcore, also when you had to pay for the beers yourself in a very steeply priced hotel bar, but that's what it is.
Well, we won't blame the event for the hotel, but I don't think the event will ever be there again. It wasn't just to our viewers. It wasn't bad. It was just some minor things, prices, and the staff's approach to the prices and practicality. It wasn't a bit off. Let's say it like that.
But the room was good, very spacious, very good. Very well air conditioned, and
yes,
it was all very good. Can't put a finger on that, but
no.
The restaurant was maybe a bit off. We had cold pizzas, which wasn't that interesting, but that's how it is sometimes.
Yeah. Well, anything to add, Tim?
I think one of my favorite memories, and it's kind of like those things that are sometimes so bad that they're memorable. My favorite one was that the cheese sandwiches for lunch on day one was so terrible that we decided we'd go into Antwerp on day 2 to get our lunches. Walked into Antwerp without realizing everything in Antwerp seems to shut on a Sunday lunchtime. We must have walked 25 minutes to find like the one open shop, and then we all came out from the shop carrying basically cheese sandwiches.
But they were better.
Slightly better.
That for me was one of my. I'll remember the games and that sort of thing, but the fact that we disrespected the event cheese sandwiches, walked for 45 minutes to basically come back with a glorified cheese sandwich was for
but half price.
Yeah.
So funny. Absolutely love that. But I think with the team spirit award, and it's kind of like a lot of little things all joined together. We played well. We had all our armies were attractive on the board. We'd taken something a little bit different. We behaved well. We turned up on time. We were good people to play against. We brought little trinkets and things with us. We handed stuff in at the right time. We got involved with all the events that were going on. We went to the bar and partied with people in the evenings and things. And I think it was that culmination of lots of little things that just made us sort of stand out as having that real sort of camaraderie as well. So I thought that was good.
I think you summed it up very nicely. Also, I don't know how much time we have left, but I'd like to shout out to the team organizer, to the event organizers, world champion Michael, Ali King, Alex Baukamp of the commentary. I think it was all a big part of the package, and they made it very fun for us as participants. So
true.
Keep it up. Hopefully we can do it again next year.
Yeah. Well, I think that leads us to the very final question, our last minutes. Would you advise anyone else to go, or would you like to participate again? Not to say that you will or will be able to, but do you want to? That's the question.
I would love to, but I've got paternity leave next year, so my seat's vacant. So if no one else can, Tim, you can have my seat.
I would love to go again. Really. It was cool.
Me too. I'm so ready for another go and to try and place a little bit higher than the third last, but challenge the foes, fight the Irish.
There's only one way, and that's up.
Yeah.
That's how, yeah.
Oh, and of course, to continue our eternal rivalry with Canada. For team spirit.
Hey,